What's up, guys? I'm Frenzy. Welcome back to Viewer Castles. Today we're going to start off with Baron Lucas. Um, Castle level 9, so we're going to jump into it and just go through it really quickly. Make sure everything looks okay. Chickens. The bear traps are okay here, I suppose. It's pretty good against knights, not as good against archers. I mean, it's hard for me to tell exactly how much damage each thing does because I'm so much higher level than it. I would say that it's almost better to have headshot, but maybe if this is working for you, I guess that's okay. I mean, the chickens, 4 chickens is kind of weird. That's a lot of points to waste on chickens. They don't really do any damage whatsoever. Obviously, they're neat units, but Snotters would do a little bit more. Alright, the charging Pete Poundmore. And I still didn't see what specialization this guy was on. I'm guessing it was heal. I would say the charging Pete Poundmore should be on over the head slam or the Fist of Fury thing, whatever the other 2 specializations are. They're both better on Pete Poundmore than the charge. The charge is basically the same effect you're going to get from a Cyclops, right? There's not really much difference except for a slight damage increase. Whereas the other things are a little bit better. Just the damage is overall better on the other 2, because they're damage dealing skills to begin with. So again, the same thing with archers here. I would mess around with the headshot ability and this ability and see which one's working better for you. I would say especially in this circumstance, well, it depends on which way your castle goes, because I saw units down here, but then I see that your castle keeps going up here. So I'm not sure what's going on at this point. I think that parts of that there's either like a dummy section or one group is skippable. I'm not sure at this point, but either of those I would say is pretty bad. All right, so they are on heal specialization. I think that's fine. Although at your level, the summoning ability is a lot better for time wasting than heal, I would say. It's not necessarily bad though. Then what do you have? A Cyclops, which is on charge, I think? I would say that's fine, I guess. The overall, like, this entire group kind of confuses me because you have, like, derps and stuff like that, which would make sense with Raising Hell, the specialization Raising Hell, where you're raising minions from the derps. Other than that, it's kind of confusing, and then it looks like this was a completely dummy room, so this group is skippable if I go the other way. And the problem with this, and having dummy rooms to begin with, is there's no limit on how many times someone can run your castle. So someone can run your castle, see that that's a dummy way, and then never go down that again, run your castle a second time, and it's that much easier, because they can skip it completely. Alright, so this is a situation where you have Dr. Skull on Enrage, and you don't really have any high damage dealing units that you're enraging. You're enraging his own skeletons and like an archer. I would much prefer Dr. Skull at your level to be on Raise Dead, whatever the first specialization is, because those skeletons take a while for people to actually take out at level 9. It's one of the few times that you can use Dr. Skulls, and I would make use of it. Other than that, using Dr. Skull later on as Enrage, I don't think it's worth it, because you're spending 10 points out of 20 for a support unit, and I think that's a little bit too much. So this group as well, I would say the Raising Skeleton specialization is better than Enrage here, 100% of the time, at your level. Again, with your Pete Poundmores, I would say the other 2 specializations are better than the charge, because now you have a Hunger Bot that's pulling you into two Pete Poundmores that are either going to be over the head smashing or Fist of Fury and, you know, do a ton of damage to you when you get pulled into them. So I would like those other 2 specializations. Other than that, I think your vision was pretty good, and I think that just changing the specialization of the Dr. Skulls will help your castle, like, based on the timer, a ton. So yeah, we'll jump into number 2 in just a second. Pretty good castle overall. But yeah, jump into number 2. Alright, for number 2 we have MYR Darky, castle level 13. Run through it really quickly just to see what he's got set up. Make sure it's all working properly. Alright, so this is Fist of Fury, I believe. Not necessarily terrible, but I do think that Fist of Fury on Cyclopses, this is where things get a little bit confusing sometimes when I say certain things. On Pete Poundmore, I like Fist of Fury and I like the over-the-head slam. On Cyclopses, I like Charge and I like over-the-head slam. So the reason behind this is that Pete Poundmore, the basic difference between Pete Poundmore and Cyclopses is a damage and health increase on any of their abilities. So the reason why I don't like Charge on Pete Poundmore is because it's the lowest damage dealing ability out of the three. So you get less out of that damage dealing bonus that you would normally get. On Cyclopses, they're not really amazing at raw damage. They're okay at burst damage when they're doing over the head slam, and they're good at being like a utility unit when they're on charge. But overall, I think that their like Fist of Fury thing is a little bit too weak on the damage side and a little bit too weak on the hit point side to actually sustain that amount of damage. That might change when the hit point patch, ends up going through. Hopefully it'll be this patch. Still have my fingers crossed for that. Now overall, it's an okay use for like time wasting this type of a group, but I would say it would be better if you have him like maybe over the head slam would probably be the best thing combined with this. I'll see how you use it later on, and we'll see if I continue to agree with that. So again, this is the same thing, right? Because the over the head slam, maybe not at your level, it does a mini stun at your level because the Cyclopses are still level 3. As soon as they get to level 4, it'll knock you down onto the ground, which takes more time for you to get back up and start fighting again. Charge maybe at your level would be a little bit better at time consuming because you'll be pushing them away from the Robo Shieldatron. So that could be something you could think about. Alright, so what do you have pulling through with a Scorpio? I do like the Scorpio. The Smelly Archer is, I guess it's okay. Just because you don't really have that many good utility units to add with the Scorpio. You don't have like dampeners or anything like that, so I think that's okay. Okay, so here's an issue with puppeteers, and I'm not sure if it's intentional or if it's kind of a bug, but basically how puppeteers work is they don't enrage the thing that's closest to them, they enrage the thing that's closest to the hero. So in this case, you will never get the thing that you want to happen, which is your archers to be enraged. Your Bone Puppeteer will always enrage the Snotter first. Even if I kill it, it's going to try to enrage the Snotter because that's just how weird Bone Puppeteers are right now. That's why most people use them as medic currently. There's a couple situations where you can use it, like with Pete Poundmores or Zeke's if they're the leading unit, defended by like a Defendatron or something like that. That's really the only way that these can be used on Enrage currently. I would say you could use a Bad Dog, but that wouldn't work. I don't even know if you have Bad Dogs, but the Bad Dog would run out in front anyway. The only thing you can really do is just hope that these archers hit by themselves. The utility itself, I think you could probably remove this and put something else in its place. Maybe you could remove this and one of the archers put in a charging Cyclops or something like that, just to push them away from the archers while they're dealing the damage. But I don't think that the Puppeteer is actually going to add anything to the fight, how the game is currently. Alright, so this itself, the two Cyclopses, they're on Fist of Fury, they're supposed to do damage, but they don't really do enough damage to really make them worth their while. So again, I would say either over the head slam, and if you switch it out with over the head slam, this group I think is fine. If you switch it out with charge, which is better for your previous groups, I would take one of these Cyclopses out and add maybe an archer. You could even take one Cyclops out, this Squidly out, and add 2 archers, and then you have that. I think that would be okay. So you have kind of the Hungerbot that's up in here to pull you into the fire, the archers a little bit farther back, and then a pushing Cyclops. Maybe that would be better. I just spitball ideas. You can do kind of what you want with it. I'm just, I know things that don't really work quite well together, and then I just try to spitball ideas beyond that. Alright, so then you have these archers. I'm not sure if... Alright, so that's the first time that these guys will actually get enraged. Like, if I kill everything else on the screen, eventually that'll be the closest thing to the hero. And the Bone Puppeteer will actually enrage them. But it takes too long. I mean, the archer should be almost dead by that time. In an ideal world, you want, the derp to be tanking, and then as soon as, like, the hero comes in vision, you'd want the archers to get enraged, and that's just not how it works. So kind of the same problem here, that I think that you know, the Bone Puppeteer on Enrage isn't really the best option that you have. Alright, so you have a Defendatron. I like this room pretty good. I think it's a pretty good room. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. You have the Zeke and the Scorpio for damage. You have the good support unit here, which makes it just like a little bit harder to kill them. I think it's a pretty good room for a boss. Pretty good. Alright, so yeah, not too bad of a castle. Just a couple of those things with like the supports and stuff. And your Cyclopses early on probably could be a little bit better. So we'll jump into number 3 in just a second. Alright, and for number 3 we have Leslie, castle level 21. Jump into it on my archer. Alright, Pete Poundmore with Medic. I think this is good. Alright, so yeah, I think that group was fine. Kind of the same thing that I had in one of my previous versions of my castle, except I had Enrages instead. I think both are fine, as long as you're enraging the correct unit. You know, it took me a while to set it up correctly to actually use Enrage there. Alright, so this is also something that I had set up in a previous version. I took it out for a Jelly Wall, I believe. I think both are pretty good. Probably better than slow traps at this point, so I think this is good. It's a very standard trap. Like, you notice how I kind of everyone should be expecting this by this point, you know. So yeah, so far so good. Let's see what this is. All right, so I think I had something similar, except I believe you added a Defendatron to this, which I think is just fine. It was a really good time waster for me when I had this. It actually killed a couple people when I had 2 Cyclopses just because of the burst damage. When they just kept getting pulled around, I feel like they almost gave up just because it was taking so much time. But yeah, I used to like that. Alright, and then you have this sort of a thing with a Zeke and a Cyclops. Obviously better if the Cyclops is on charge, but then that hurts everything else that you have done up to this point. I'm not sure if this setup is better than a Zeke with a Defendatron and a support. Like, I'm almost thinking that the Zeke Defendatron support would be better overall than this. And that's only because of Archer's Volley. Because if I, like I did with this, I kind of just cut it around the corner, drop a Caltrops, drop a Volley, they die before they do any damage to me whatsoever. Whereas, if you have the Defendatron will tank the volley for the Zeke. And you could throw in like a Bad Dog or a Puppeteer, whichever one you feel like. I think against Knights it's a little bit better. Maybe to have the Cyclops, but not so much. I mean, I think the Defendatron is still good against Knights, so it's really up to you. I think they're both fine. As of everything else, so far so good. The Scorpios are obviously just good in general. I don't think there's any really bad way to use a Scorpio, except for the Pinball and only Scorpios. I think that's one of the easiest. Those are the easiest castles that I go through now, that I know how to deal with them. Alright, Mega Mutton. I do like the Mega Mutton at this point. I like this room for a Mega Mutton. Obviously it's not a room, but it's like a combination of 2 rooms that create this small space, and then you have two mouse wheel traps that basically make the playing space this small, you know? And I don't have any reliable form of escaping through here. So I like that quite a bit. Alright, another Pete Poundmore. For some reason your support didn't actually heal him. I'm not sure exactly why, because he did create his skeletons when I was in range. I think maybe something you could try to do, which I would be a little bit scared of, is try to put like your support behind one of these mines so that he's not headshotable, but he's easier to get in range and in line of sight of the feet pound more. That's something you could try out. Maybe it would work a little bit better. Obviously, I have insane DPS and I'm a little bit over level your castle, so it might work better than it's working against me. Oh, this could hurt. Okay, I didn't get hooked by that. I did see it barely, but I think this is a really good spot for a hook. I've seen this in a couple castles now, and I'm liking it a lot. The problem is I may be jumping on this bandwagon too late. I like this setup for a springboard trap because you can have it so close to the hero, and you don't even see it. I mean, I'm right here, and I don't really see the springboard trap. I just see the corner. So it's really easy to just get hooked by this because you're not expecting it. The problem is with seeing it in a couple castles already, I think people are going to start to expect it. Like, I'm already starting to expect it a little bit now. Overall, the next group is going to be pretty easy if you don't hit the springboard trap. I would say that maybe another Stairmaster would be better than the Cyclops, but it's not necessarily bad. Just make sure that wherever I'm landing, like I land here, make sure that Cyclops is, positioned correctly to hit me over the head as soon as I land here. And I think that it'll be fine. I think it'll do enough damage to kill either way, and you might even add a little bit of stun effects to them. So I don't think it's necessarily bad either way. And you probably have it set up pretty well. So far the rest of your castle has been set up quite well. Alright, and then a Hunger Bot to pull you onto the spike trap with 2 Cyclopses to, bash you over the head. I like this. So far I've liked pretty much everything in your castle. I haven't seen anything that I really hate. I think that like some of these type of things that you have going on, where you have, I believe this looks like the room that goes down into 2 sides. I think these could be pulled through the wall to add a little bit more to your timer. Never mind, this is the boss room. Well, I think that the only thing that I've seen in your castle is that you're lacking a few pull through the wall type of combos where that's really where a lot of the timer comes into play, right? I think people probably will get through your castle if they don't get hit by one of those like kill zones. They'll probably get through it and have a little bit left on the timer just because you don't have as many of those pull through the wall traps, which make you sit around and wait for 20 seconds unless you want to pull multiple groups. Alright, and then what else do we have? It looks like it's the Dr. Skull. The Dr. Skull Defendatron combo thing. And I like that just fine. It's something that I used for a while. It was working well for me. So I think this is good. Alright. So I believe that is number 3, so we'll end the video here. If you guys enjoy what I do, please subscribe, leave a like. If you want to be a part of Viewer Castles, you can email me, Frenzy Castle Runs. You can comment on a video or on my castle as well. Leave your in-game name, summer level, castle level, stuff like that is appreciated as well. Also, you can add me and create a challenge. But I would also like you to comment on one of my videos or castles, or email me if you do create a challenge, because looking through my friends list gets a little bit taxing because I have so many friends there. So it's hard for me to do that every single day. Let's see. Other than that, I do have a spreadsheet available. A couple people have been like submitting their names and then resubmitting them and then resubmitting them and then resubmitting them until I run their castle. I have in the description of every video a spreadsheet that shows all of the names that are to be recorded. So you guys can just check there to see when your castle is going to be recorded, when it's going to be edited, when it's going to be released, stuff like that. Usually I put up 2 viewer castles a day, sometimes 3, if I get a ton of people wanting and requesting for me to do their castle. So with that, we'll end the video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.